All right. Hello, I'm Jessica. I'm here today with Nate from Trinity Community Commons. Nate, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Nate Paulk, and I'm the executive director at a nonprofit named Trinity Community Commons, based out of an old Methodist church building in Northeast Nashville, and have been working out of the space for 7 years, but have only been a nonprofit for the last 2 years.
Awesome.
And I'm
And can
pumped
you tell me,
talking to Jessica.
yes, hello. Can you tell me a little bit about what Trinity does?
Yeah, so our work has been mostly about forging the idea that sacred space can be more than just liability to an individual congregation, but more asking the question, how can a sacred space like this, that's been in this community for since 1852, how can it be leveraged for the good of the community, not just church members, not just people who think and believe and look like I do or we do, but rather how can sacred space in a large meeting space like this be leveraged for the good of all people in this community. So we talk about creating paths of access for people to gather and grow, and we say we create paths of access and those opportunities for all kinds of people in this community to gather and grow.
That's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit what volunteers do at Trinity?
Yeah, so we exist. Our concept was we will do a great job at casting a vision for the space, and then we depend on partner organizations to come in and do their work that they do better than anybody. And so, for example, today we had a partner organization called Project Transformation that I know y'all are very aware of. So we are a PT site, and so we had volunteers that were serving with them at our site. And so that's one example. We have volunteers who come through and do a whole host of things. We have volunteers who work on our facility. We have volunteers who help serve meals in different capacities. Like right now, our community meal, sit-down community meal that we've done for years has shifted to like a to-go style meal for members of the community. So we're doing that tonight. We have volunteers who help with that from time to time. We have volunteers who bring specific gifts, like if somebody's good at, if somebody is gifted or feels led to be a part of like financial literacy training, we have people who walk alongside members of the community in that. And so we host a lot of young teams, like during our summer programming. Back when volunteering as a group was a thing, we would host just all kinds of groups. We also have members of the local community who come by and do things from work in the gardens to paint to help do design work for free or whatever we need. So it's a blend of partner churches and partner nonprofits, but then also a good amount of just local people in the neighborhood who want to give back to the work that we're doing.
That's awesome. So how have y'all had to adapt during these crazy times?
Yeah, we have adapted, and we are continuing to adapt by the minute. We waited, 5 years to have a coherent mission statement, and one of the words in our mission statement, as I just said, was gather. And lo and behold, a pandemic happens, and all of a sudden gathering is like the only thing you can't do. And so we've broadened our definition to how we gather. We've essentially, in terms of partnerships and people being in the space, we have basically eliminated that for the safety of the partners and safety of us and safety for community members. So we have boiled down everything that we've done, and only what we would consider essential programs are being run. So things that are dealing with like care of children, feeding people, and all of those we've shifted to like we're out in the front lawn with tables, like giving people prepackaged to-go boxes from a partner nonprofit of ours. And so the other thing that we have done, which is a huge pivot for us, has been to see the pandemic, even though there is a lot of really hard and terrible things that have been associated with that, it's given us a pause, an opportunity to pause and to dig deeper into our strategic plan. It's given us the opportunity to really solidify our relationship and to define our relationship with the larger Methodist Church. So during the quarantine, we signed a 5-year lease. We are now engaged with an architecture firm to redesign the space, all of which we never would have done if we were going through the, the daily grind of engaging this community. And so we've just brought on a new staff member and operations director who is spearheading this. I mean, it's so new, like I don't even know what it's going to look like, but kind of spearheading this idea of a rapid text communication system with this local community. By the way, I never would have had that idea. That's such a brilliant idea. And so we really believe in the coming weeks, especially as some of the federal assistance that people have been getting it seems like it's going to be come to the end by the end of the month. We really believe we need to have a way to respond rapidly to the needs of the community. And so she has taken that on full on and trying to figure out what that could look like in this community, which is so different than what I'm like I want to be sitting in front of people. And so to answer your question, we've boiled down what we're doing to only essentials. We're going deeper into our strategic plan and our mission and refining that and gaining clarity on what we want to do as we not reopen, but as we just live into the reality of COVID-19. I mean, this is going to be with us for a long time, and it will continue to inform what we do. And then we're thinking of new ways. How do we now, that it just doesn't look like we're going to have big groups of people in this building, how can we use this precious time, let's pause to redesign this building, redesign this space with some of those restrictions in mind. But restrictions force creativity. So let's not complain about our restrictions. Let's just be more creative. So that's what we're doing.
That's really cool. Really awesome. So what have y'all learned about God's provision during this time?
I have learned that the moment you just don't have the answer, the moment you realize you don't have the answer is the moment when it is sure enough you will be open to how God can provide for you. It's just, it's fascinating to have been doing this work for 7 years and to see these kind of ups and downs of support and encouragement. You feel like you're just, you are literally just digging a ditch, and sometimes you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, just trying to make things happen, trying to gain traction. And then all of a sudden, in a period like a pandemic, when there's a lot of fear, right? There's fear about funding. There's fear about what does this mean for our community? There's fear about, I just said, gather and grow in a mission statement. And now we can't do those things anymore, And so that fear, I think God has provided people, very unlikely volunteers that have even been connected to us as a result of the tornado in March, that we're like, if the tornado hadn't happened, they wouldn't be here helping us right now. Like, this is crazy. So I think that is the bigger the challenge, I think it gives at least somebody like me who likes to believe that I know the answer, and if I just work hard enough, it's going to make it happen. I'm just reminded during this pandemic that it's just like so good when you realize, when you finally come to the end of your rope and you know that you don't know the answer. That's when I think we're open to just recognize, because it's always happening, right? We just are willing to recognize and name the fact that, wow, that came from God and it wasn't me. So I just think there's more of an awareness or an attentiveness to that in a time like this. And also, let me say this. I've also seen the generosity of people in this community in a way. People are generous, but there has just been an overwhelming amount of generosity towards us, towards each other. And so I know there are a lot of hard things going on in the world with people kind of doing their best attempt at hating each other. But we have seen just an outpouring of people in this community taking care of each other. People come to our Tuesday night thing to get to-go boxes, but they're like, I'm giving these to my neighbor. I need to get 10 boxes because I know 2 families on my street who don't have anything. And so that's been really awesome to see too. So, people like a good challenge, and when they're challenged, they rise up, but also think God has put people in place and resources in place for us to be able to take care of each other in a new way.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Do you have any stories of transformation you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think, let me think about that one. I think people are being transformed. I think the transformation that I think of when you ask that question is how, and I'm gonna kind of generalize. I think the church has always gotten, and communities always get, like, taking care of people who have material needs. I think people are being transformed. I have seen people who maybe for the first time in their life are experiencing material needs be transformed in a way that they now are developing, maybe for the first time, this empathy for people who don't have materially what they have, right? So they're members of their families, and I'm thinking of one family in particular who used to be engaged with us more like, oh, we're coming to help people who don't have. Well, now, as a result of the pandemic, they are finding themselves in that situation. And I just think there's this transformation that's happening in them to realize they are no different. The amount of money in their bank account is not how much they are worth as a person. And so it's just been interesting to help some people process that, where we have an opportunity as the church, as nonprofit, as a community organization to say, we are not only what's in our bank account, and we are way more than what's in our bank account. And whether I have good, clean clothes on or not clean clothes on, that is not who we are as humans. And so something that, as a result of that truth, this language in our organization has risen to the top of the worth and potential of all humans. And I really think that has been a transformation in our organization to say that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to leverage an old building. We're trying to leverage meals. We're trying to leverage partnerships. We're trying to create educational opportunities for members of this community, not because it's the right thing to do. It's because we believe in the worth and potential of all human beings. And that's the work that I want to see the church do more of. Forget this whole membership. That's my jam. Like, we'll worry about that later. Let's do worth and potential of all human beings. And memberships can't help but grow. Churches can't help but be started. And ministry and transformation can't help but happen if we focus on those two things, worth and potential of all human beings, not just people who look like me and say they believe like me, all human beings. I'll stop preaching. Thank you for the question.
That was a really good answer. So how can Brentwood UMC support during this time, or in general?
Yeah, I think one of the ways is just to deepen the connection that we already have. We have been the recipient of the Partner Missions Grant the past couple of years. We have a pending application. I know you guys are kind of going back to the drawing board of how do we disperse funding? Funding appropriate, specific, directed, targeted funding at the right time is huge for us. but we also understand that we want the funding that we receive to be at the right time in the right season. And so we're just super grateful for that ongoing support from Brentwood UNC. If there are individuals, our volunteer base right now is more kind of individuals. We've had a couple of groups who have tried to say, well, we can get 4 or 5 people together and come over and serve. But even that feels a little too much right now. And so we would encourage individuals who want to play some role in the work that is going on out of this space and in this community to just contact us directly and say, this is who I am. This is how available I am. This is what really gets me going and what I'm interested in doing. And we will have individual conversations with those people. We've got our Tuesday night meal that we're doing tonight. We've got 2 people who have really just championed that, but either one of those 2 people could get sick and not be able to do it. So we want to see a couple more people be, kind of be in the bullpen, be in the rotation on that. And so that's really the main. Right now, we're having individual conversations with people about ways that they can plug in. And especially when after school programs start and we understand maybe what the fall will look like for a lot of families, we will have some more specific things. But right now, we ask people to individually just reach out, and we will plug them in with a meaningful way to serve in this community, and also individual donations too. We are hopeful, and while also being, we just understand the way, we feel like we understand some of the implications of this wave that's going to hit in the next couple of weeks, with some people's unemployment stipends are going to run out. And for a lot of our most vulnerable community members, that's going to be really hard to deal with. And so the donations that we receive now, I can't even say exactly how we'll use them, because in 3 weeks, there's going to be a very different landscape that a lot of our community members are going to be living in. And so any money that's coming in now, which it is, we are planning, we're looking forward to how we can respond and be really innovative for our community members in the coming weeks. So those are the main ways. Reach out to us and we'll plug you in a safe way to volunteer. And feel free to send us the piggy bank if you want to, and we'll use it.
All right. How can we be in prayer for Trinity Community Commons?
I think praying for our wisdom. Another really exciting thing that's going on here, we have reached out to the United Methodist, to the larger United Methodist Conference, and we are in the infant stages of really dreaming what a new United Methodist faith community here could look like. I'm still not saying church, because as soon as you say church, people are like, what time's the service? And we just have no idea what that can look like. So we've done what I would consider really innovative community work, right? We've taken an old building, we've creatively invited a community to care about that space, to see the benefit of that space. We've gotten all kinds of different people in the room for all kinds of reasons. But one thing that we have we've always known that we want to play a role in is spiritual formation in some way. And so we reached out to the Methodist Church and said, we want there to be a Methodist church here. How can we play a role in that? And so we're exploring what it looks like to have a pastor on staff under our umbrella, which is kind of a non-traditional way of going about things. And so that's one area that I really believe we envision a team of people, and not just like one person who happens to be, an eloquent speaker or something, but really going back to zero and saying, what does it mean out of this work for someone, a group of people, to really envision what it looks like to explicitly be available to and to help nurture people in this community along their spiritual path. And so that could look like a Methodist service on Sunday morning. I have no idea. But it could also look like meditation on Thursday night, and it could look like recovery groups on Friday morning, and it could look like I had a young lady the other day who gave me this concept of a chaplain innovation lab, and I was like, that's brilliant. I have no idea what that means, but it made me really excited. And so if Brentwood UMC would commit to praying with us through that process, that would be incredible to just feel supported, and because we need a lot of wisdom. That's one for me, that it's not like we're just gonna get a whiteboard and figure it out. We need a lot of discernment in terms of who those key people are and the steps that we should take, and we take that really seriously, right? So we have been the spiritual. Yesterday, a guy showed up and he had something going on, and he said, I just need to talk. And so we spent 30 minutes sitting in the sanctuary with no air conditioner, talking about some really serious stuff. And so we are still, even though we're a nonprofit, even though I'm not a pastor, whatever, we are still the place people come to feel a deep connection with God. And so we want to put people in place, and we want to put a structure in place that's ready to respond and ready to walk with those people who want to engage us in that way. So that's one thing that comes to mind. One way that Brentwood UMC can be in partnership and prayer with us.
Awesome. So that was my last specific question. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Who is the audience? Is it just you? Or are you just going to watch this video over and over and be inspired? Is that what you're going to do, Jessica? Or
well, it was very inspiring, so I might. But the idea of these was to have just information from the groups for sermons, studies.
Yeah. So I think I always just want to say back to this worth and potential of all humans. It's all, I can't help with the race conflicts. Not that like we're just now seeing, no, they've been going on forever, right? Since the beginning of time. If we could nail that down, worth and potential of all human beings, I think our churches would look different. I think our missions would look different. I think our benevolence would look different. I think our public discourse would look different. I think that our response to COVID-19 would look different. That for me is just this foundational teaching in the Bible. It was the teaching of Jesus. It's not all in the Bible, but Jesus definitely was about this worth and potential idea. Every chance I get, I just want to say, let's really ask the question, what would it look like if I truly believed that my worth is no more, no less than any other human, and that my potential is no more, no less than any other human, and all of these other people who I feel like are the other, that look different than me, that talk different than me, that believe different than me, that vote different than me, their potential and their worth is the exact same in the eyes of God. That to me is foundational, and it's really important. And I have a lot of work to do because I say I believe that. I've been trained to say I believe that, and I'm trying to really figure out what it means to actually live that out organizationally and personally for me and my family. So whoever's watching this, Jessica, if it's just you, no problem. Let's figure that out. And when you figure it out, let me know how you did it.
All right. Well, thank you for meeting with me.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for inviting me. So grateful for our partnership.
Yeah, me too.